Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Starting with a look at the news making the headlines. And President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi said that the International Maritime Organization, the IMO, plays an important role, being the body that brings together regional and international parties at one point and active parties on the other in the field of sea freight. He was speaking during a meeting with the visiting IMO Secretary General Arsenio Dominguez. During the meeting, al-Sisi expressed keenness to achieve calm in the region. Talks also touched on the environment, climate change and renewable energy, and efforts turning Egypt into an international center and hub for the production of green hydrogen. Means of boosting the role of the IMO for transferring international expertise in this regard were also discussed. The meeting discussed developments in Bab el-Mandab Strait and means of restoring security to this area in light of its importance to international maritime trade. And on behalf of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, the Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli participates in the World Economic Forum in Davos 2025 in Switzerland. Madbouli asserted the government is taking all measures to boost the private sector. In comments that came during his meeting with the CEO of a company, for his part, he highlighted the company's aim to develop its infrastructure in Egypt. The company chose Egypt to be its main electronic center to boost its investments on the regional level. Also, the Minister of Planning, Economic Development and International Cooperation, Rania Mashot, is participating in this event. Her agenda focuses on collaboration with the World Economic Forum to support Egypt's economic growth, and she's also highlighted the Egyptian government's recent efforts to improve macroeconomic stability, implementing economic and structural reforms. We're now delighted to be joined over the telephone by our guest for the afternoon, Dr. Ahmed, our economic expert. Dr. Ahmed, it's a very good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon to all of you.
Thank you so much, Doctor, for your time. And let me start, Doctor, by asking you about the World Economic Forum. Of course, this is a very important event which is being held, and lots of leaders from all around the world are in attendance. And this year, the forum aims to address key global concerns and issues, including, geopolitical issues, including fostering economic growth to improve the standard of living, promoting just and inclusive energy practices and transitions in line with technological advancements. How do you see this year's forum, Doctor?
Yes, first of all, let me present a special thanks to Minister Rania Mashot, Minister of Planning, for the participants in World Economic Forum, especially in the very effective panel under the name of Find Solution for the Global Public Debt Crisis. Minister Rania Mashot is very active and dynamic minister. All time visits a lot of many different countries and participate in World Economic Forum and a lot of conferences in order to focus on the future of cooperation between Egypt and all the world. During the World Economic Forum, Minister Rania Mashot sent a positive message about the future of sustainable investment in Egypt and the future of economic and the progress and all the incentives done by the government under the leader of our business city. President Rania Mashot also sent a clear message about sustainability and financing for economic development, launching and following the recent government steps and the framework into maximizing the use of planning tools aligned with the economic and social development plan and leveraging external resources from development partners to support Egypt's Vision 2030. Egypt 2030 all the time focused by the world, and especially the key countries, Germany and Europe, and all key countries participating in the World Economic Forum, because the future of sustainable investment in Egypt and the vision of Egypt for 2030 take Egypt as a key country in Middle East and key country in Africa and the key country as in the Arab area. I think also the framework of vision on the three pillars are to achieve sustainable growth, driving economic and development policies, building a future resilient economy, and optimizing the resource allocation is very also important.
Indeed, Dr. Ahmed, now we've seen, the Minister of Planning and Economic Development, Rania Mashat, discussing important things related to the future of economic growth in developing nations. She also spoke about the need to mobilize investment for clean energy, for example, in emerging economies. And also she's discussed other key global issues which are very important, especially to developing nations, like loans, like the private sector, like the need for mobilization of funds, etc. And she also discussed the need to have movement of capital and have the involvement of the private sector in order to have economies develop and grow. How do you see her participation in this regard and the role that can be played by such forums in enhancing these goals, Doctor?
Dr. Rania Mashat playing a very important role in sending a message about how the Egyptian economy, such as investment in human capital, industrial development, SME and technology entrepreneurship, sustainable infrastructure and green investment, coupled with the route of monitoring and evaluating, building a resilient economy, focus on also macroeconomic sustainability through structural reform to foster economic competitiveness, macro-physical resilience, and the green transition. Egypt focus in the green economy, especially new stations built to build recently in the green economy, and the green economy very add value in Egypt. And we have a key success model rule in the ban for energy power represents 16% of electricity in Egypt, and we aim to increase day by day. This is such a green economy is focused and supported by the World Bank and the discussion in World Economic Forum also.
Absolutely.
I think a lot of cooperation within Egypt and the own country, and also with countries like China, like India, in the field of programming, in the field of agriculture, in the field of petrochemical, also will take place in this meeting. And I think Rania Mashat, as a key Minister of Planning and Economic in Egypt, will send a positive message about the Egyptian economy to be more attractive for foreign direct investment. The role of Dr. Rania Mashat to bring foreign direct investment to Egypt, and also bring a loan, long-term loans, long-term loans with international institutions and organizations like World Bank and Europe Bank, and such a loan will be add value to the Egyptian economy in order to invest in infrastructure, invest in green economy, and invest in water recirculation also. Absolutely. And reclamation of Egyptian land. And I think this all time supports Rania Mashat to make a lot of visits and the international conference like World Economic Forum to send a positive message about Egypt's economy, and it's an open market for foreign direct investment.
Yes, Dr. Ahmed, our economic expert, thank you very much, sir, for your time and your insight, and for joining us on today's edition of Cairo Local Time. A short break, and we'll be back for more. Ladies and gentlemen, do stay tuned. And welcome back. Still with our news, a high-level delegation from the UN, including the UN resident coordinator in Egypt, head of the OCHA regional office for the Middle East and North Africa in Cairo, and chief of the United Nations Relief and Works Agency UNRWA representative office in Cairo, as well as other representatives from the World Food Programme, visited El Arish City and Rafah border crossing to follow up on the critical preparations and the delivery of aid to the Gaza Strip. More details to follow.
A high-level delegation from the United Nations, including the UN resident coordinator